Hey everybody, we're going to get to your free pick in a minute here, but before we do that, don't forget like, share, subscribe, drop in the comment section how you feel about this video, and also, if you're new customers to DocSports, head over to DocSports.com/free60. That's where you get a free $60 account. If you're new to Docs, there's a link in the description of the video. It's easy peasy. Sign up, free $60 account. Good luck unless you're against us. Here's your free NFL play.
All right, you are here with Robert Ferringo and Raphael Esparza, two of the top handicappers at DocSports. Be sure to check us out at DocSports.com. And next, we're going to break down the AFC North Division winner odds. This is one of the most competitive divisions in football. Last year, Baltimore made it back-to-back titles, going 12-5 and finishing 2 games ahead of the Pittsburgh Steelers. Both teams made the playoff. So not surprisingly, Baltimore is the favorite this year to win the division for a third straight time. Right now, Baltimore sitting at around -145, -150 odds. Cincinnati is actually in the second position at +225, followed by Pittsburgh at +550. And then, we have to mention them because technically they're an NFL team, but Cleveland pulling in the last place at +3,000. So, Raphael, again, as I mentioned, Baltimore won back-to-back division titles here in the AFC North, uber competitive division. However, a little trivia for you. You don't even have to tell me who it was. When do you think was the last time that a team won 3 straight division titles in this division?
I have no clue. Not even close.
1997.
Oh, wow. That's later.
94-97, the Pittsburgh Steelers won it.
Much later.
It wasn't even the AFC North back then, I don't believe. We certainly weren't in the same alignment that we have right now. There was only 3 AFC divisions back then. So history is working against the Steelers right now. They are a bigger favorite. Are you surprised that they're not a little bit closer to even money, even though they are favored? -150 seems a little bit thick, considering that unlike the AFC East, where really it's long shot contenders, there's no real viable rival to the Bills right now. In the AFC North, you can make an argument that they have 2 viable rivals. Okay, Cincinnati, if Joe Burrow's healthy, they can beat anybody, anywhere, anytime. And the Steelers are the Steelers. Whether you like Aaron Rodgers or not, they got substandard quarterback play last year, and they still won 10 games. On top of the fact that the Steelers are just always a thorn in the Ravens' side and vice versa. So are you a little bit surprised that Baltimore is such, I don't want to call them an overwhelming favorite, but they're one of the few teams that has minus money odds to win their division?
I think most of that money came in because people think Pittsburgh's a joke right now. This is not a normal Tomlin team with Watt sitting on my couch right now waiting to get his money. Aaron Rodgers is their quarterback. Ridiculous trades I'm still trying to understand with Miami. So I think right now they think the Steelers is a joke and maybe Tomlin's supposed to be on his way out. So I think that's why they bet the Ravens. And this one opened up at -120 to win a division. So it moved 25 cents. Some books even have 30-cent move on it. I'm not sold because you know me, I love boxing, I love MMA, and I've learned this. Father time's always going to creep on you. And you know who's aging? There's a guy in the backfield in Baltimore. Yes, he ran wild last year, but he got a year older. Teams get to see him now in Baltimore. So I think, yes, he's going to be the king. Yes, he'll probably have a good season, but not like last year's season. And I'm still not sold on Lamar when it comes to those big games and playoff games. So this one's wide open. And I can tell you right now, I have nothing to say about the Cleveland Browns when we get to that team. So they're 3,001 for a reason.
Yeah, Baltimore went 12-5 last year. Okay, it is questionable whether they got better in the offseason, and they were better than a 12-5 team last year. They had a few fluky last-second losses, and it's a relatively difficult schedule. They still are one of the premier teams in the AFC because they have one of the premier quarterbacks in Lamar Jackson. All that being said, over the last 14 years, since 2011, here are the number of division titles won by each of these teams. Baltimore has won 6, Cincinnati has won 4, and Pittsburgh has won 4. So it's relatively equally distributed.
How many Cleveland won? How many has Cleveland won?
Cleveland hasn't won one since 2011. But just with that, it feels like there's a little bit more parity in this division than there are in some of the others. So if you had to choose between Cincinnati or Pittsburgh, if we agree that maybe Baltimore is a little bit overvalued relative to what their actual talent level disparity is between Cincinnati and Baltimore. And as I mentioned, you can't ignore history. It's been 30 years since somebody's won 3 straight division titles in the AFC North. That's not nothing. So if we discount Baltimore for a second, who do you like more? Again, not just from a predictive standpoint, but from a value perspective. Cincinnati plus 225, Pittsburgh at plus 550. Which one of those two do you think is worth a bite at the apple?
I'm going to say Pittsburgh, even though I just said that there was a joke of what happened all summer long, waiting for Aaron Rodgers. Watt still not signed. Again, ridiculous trade with Miami. But I don't trust Cincinnati's defense. They also have a guy on my couch waiting to get paid on defense. Yes, Cincinnati is going to score a lot of points, but they're also going to give up a lot of points. What was their Achilles heel last year? What was their defense? Did they do anything this year on their defense? No. So I trust Pittsburgh right now because they have a quarterback. Yes, he's aging, but he's been there. He's not going to throw that bad mistake that we've seen the last 3 quarterbacks since Big Ben. I think he's going to control the ball a little bit better. I think their run game is going to be a little bit better this year. So I trust Pittsburgh more than I trust the Bengals defense, not their offense, but their defense.
I think I would take Cincinnati, even from a value perspective. And I agree completely with everything that you said. I just think that they went 9-8 last year, and they probably played about as poorly as they could. And I like Joe Burrow more than I like Lamar Jackson, and I obviously like Joe Burrow.
I agree.
Than I like Aaron Rodgers. So, if you give me the best quarterback in the division and you're giving me over 2-1 odds, I'll usually take that. I agree with you on Pittsburgh. I think people are sleeping on this team. The fact that Mike Tomlin has never had a losing season, some people are kind of turning it into a punchline, like because they haven't been to a Super Bowl in X number of years, because they haven't won a playoff game in nearly a decade. I get it. But you know what? As a Bears fan, I would love to,
here we go,
just make the playoffs every single year or every other year and never have a losing record. Like I said, they won 10 games last year. Is it that big of a leap to go from 10 wins to 12 wins? I don't think so. Not when you have the defense that they have that can go out and win games all by themselves. They did bring in DK Metcalf as well, although they got rid of George Pickens, which I understand why they got rid of George Pickens. I think they didn't want him in the locker room. It's kind of petulant. But the guy's in a contract year, and George Pickens is awesome. He's awesome. He might be a maniac. I'm pretty sure he is a maniac. When he's not on Antonio Brown level. Well, I won't go there with him, but he's kind of nuts, but he's also kind of awesome as a football player. And I was really excited about them having DK Metcalf on one side and George Pickens on the other. Okay. Offense has been the problem in Pittsburgh for a decade. Okay. Even the last few years of the Big Ben era, it was a pretty ugly offense. You got DK Metcalf and George Pickens, even with an aging Aaron Rodgers, a young improving offensive line, Freiermuth at tight end. That's a real big boy offense. Okay, that's an offense that can go out and score some points and complement that defense and maybe help keep them off the field. My big problem with Pittsburgh is this: Arthur Smith is kind of a loser. Okay, I don't think he wasn't a good head coach, and he's not a good offensive coordinator. Again, like we talked about with Mike Vrabel when we were talking about the AFC East, whether or not he was a little bit overrated. You know who Arthur Smith made his name coach when he was an offensive coordinator? He had Derrick Henry to just hand the ball to 30 times a game. Like, you don't have to be an offensive genius, some offensive mastermind. And his offenses, when he was with Atlanta, were terrible. I don't feel like what he wants to do offensively fits with what Aaron Rodgers' strengths are. So I would feel a lot more confident about this Pittsburgh Steelers team if they had a different offensive coordinator. Do you think that's fair?
It is, but let's face it, Aaron Rodgers is going to be probably in his ear and probably saying, no, that's not going to work. No, I don't think so. Let's do it this way. Let's do it this way. Because we've heard the stories coming out of Jets camp last year that Aaron Rodgers was changing things with the offense. So you're 100% correct on that one. Yeah, he was horrible in Atlanta. Their offense ran poorly, but let's face it, it's almost like the LeBron effect. Do the Lakers really have a head coach? No, it's LeBron. Does the Steelers really have an offensive coordinator? I think Aaron Rodgers is probably the voice of a lot of that.
Okay, so I think you and I are both kind of in agreement on Aaron Rodgers. I think everybody is really how many Aaron Rodgers fanboys are there right now, right? Like, I think
He's
we
going to
kind of
win the
agree.
Super Bowl, and he's going to walk off TV with whoever's interviewing, flipping the bird off, and just walking out of the sunset. I can guarantee you the Steelers win a Super Bowl, and all we're going to see is him walking off, giving the middle finger, and then that's the last thing we see about him.
Well, here's my thing. I think we were both in agreement that Rodgers is kind of a douche, that he has negative leadership characteristics, and that, frankly, when you look back on his career, he was an all-time talent and kind of underachieved with just one Super Bowl. Yes, he's got the MVPs, but just wasn't the leader that he should have been. And I think at some point, even he's going to look back on his career and maybe feel that. However, somebody brought this up, and I thought it was a really fair point, so I wanted to share it about Aaron Rodgers this year. You know, Aaron Rodgers didn't need to come back. He didn't need to. He doesn't need the money. He took well below market value. Okay, he's got other things going on in his life. He's always been very vocal about the fact that football isn't his entire existence type of thing. He could go into media. He's accomplished everything that he has in his career. He's got all the money that he needs. So is there something to be said that the fact that he willingly went to Pittsburgh, an organization that is just fine without him? Mike Tomlin won't kowtow to anybody. The Rooney family, like that organization, the Pittsburgh Steelers are the Pittsburgh Steelers. They're not going to bend to the silver and black to anyone. Okay, so the fact that he willingly supplicated himself by going to Pittsburgh, that maybe he is a little self-aware, maybe he is ready to just kind of be part of the team instead of the circus, and that maybe if there is anything left in the tank, and basing on his numbers the second half last year, there may be that we might actually get some good Aaron Rodgers this year.
I think we do, because don't forget, he started last year. He was coming off of Achilles. So how healthy was he weeks 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, whatever you want to count on this one? And I took a step back when I saw how much he got paid. He could have really asked for $20 million for 1 year. He didn't. He didn't pull a LeBron. Wow, I'm bashing LeBron today. He didn't pull a LeBron and say, hey, you know what? I want 50. I want my money, and I want my kid to play with me as a running back. No, he actually said, you know what? I'll take this. So I believe he wants to ball out 1 more year. He's got to put everything in the tank and go for it.
There were a lot of teams that needed quarterbacks. Could have gone to Las Vegas before they made that trade. He could have gone to New Orleans. He could have gone a few other places and cashed in if he just wanted to play. So I do find it interesting that he took less money and he went to a team that he's thinking, you know, maybe I want one more shot. Just get me in the playoffs. Just get me in the playoffs and give me one more shot at it. So maybe he will kind of toe the line and be a little bit better of a teammate. So look, we both. I just got to put it out there. The Browns at 30-1. It's not like we've never seen a crazy worst to first story in the NFL. Last year at this time, they were plus 450 to win the division. Baltimore was plus 145, Cincinnati plus 165, and the Steelers actually were picked for last place, judging by the divisional odds last year at plus 750. Cleveland at 30-1, not even worth the $20 ticket, huh?
Yep, not even worth. I don't even know who's going to be the starting quarterback.
I don't think they even know who's going to be their starting quarterback. However, and we'll do more on Cleveland just down the road, so I don't want to deep dive it here. However, is there an argument to be made that they will be better this year? They went 3-14 last year, okay? They still have a very good coach. They still have a good offensive line. 2 years ago, their defense was probably the best in football, if not one of the 3 best in football, and then it just completely fell apart. Is there an argument to be made that this team, if we both agree, may not win the division, that them upsetting one of the other 3 teams, that they may be a team that has a big say in who wins the division?
I think they could squeak out maybe 5 wins. I mean, I don't think they get 6. I think they can get that 5th win and maybe mess up someone's chance to win a division. But I can see them win 5. The defense is not going to be their issue. It's going to be that offense. Because let's face it, Flacco going to probably be week 1, 2, maybe 3, their quarterback, and then they'll have to start one of the young pups after that. So what's one of those young pups going to do? Let's face it, Pickett is going to be on my couch pretty soon. Watching some baseball, because that's probably the odd man out producing.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's like go with one of the. You know how I feel about starting rookie quarterbacks. I say never, ever, 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 ever. But if these guys end up starting Joe Flacco, I mean, that guy's a dud. Like it was a fluke what he did over like a 5 or 6 week period a couple years ago. Indianapolis thought he was going to replicate that. Like that guy's been shot for a long time. So if Flacco ends up winning the job, it's almost like them in New Orleans are announcing straight away that they're both in a tank race for Arch Manning. So we'll see about that.